Hi, this is my review of the Bauhaus sourcebook for Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition. This sourcebook contains everything about Bauhaus: social structure, general background information, new vehicles, new weapons, tables and details, and an entire process to create the perfect Bauhaus centric character. You even get an adventure. You get a lot of stuff. Let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is superb. It gets the Bauhaus seal of approval. Everything is well explained and written. The font is really easy on the eyes. It's one of those books that you read like 20 or 30 pages and you feel like it was just a few minutes. And you have bookmarks and an index. I would have liked it if they added hyperlinks to the index. But overall, everything is great. The illustrations are very evocative, very expressive of what Bauhaus is all about. And I just found a small typo. I'm going to send it to Modifius in case they want to update that. But everything in general is it's excellent. Now, let's talk about the contents. Bauhaus is a very aristocratic and nobility driven corporation. That is, you have the social structure that feels somewhat anachronistic, and you have a very strong sense of tradition. In fact, it's quite difficult to advance in socially and in terms of resources and power within the Bauhaus Corporation unless you are married to one of the noble houses. It's not impossible, but it's quite difficult. And Bauhaus is really proud on the fact that they are the oldest corporation and the one who supported and spearheaded the development of humanity and its voyage to outer space and the colonization process in general. Some say that that's an exaggeration, but Bauhaus is quite proud of it, and someone who thinks otherwise may end up getting tangled in a duel. Now, Bauhaus prides itself in the excellence of its products. When Bauhaus puts its seal on any type of goods or services, that means that you're getting top-notch stuff, the best of the best. But there is a bit of corporate maneuvering or shady business when it comes to this, because Bauhaus owns different subsidiaries and dummy corporations that provide products of lesser quality, services and products of lesser quality. And that way Bauhaus can present itself as the company with the best goods, while at the same time selling goods of lesser quality, but keeping it separate from the main corporation. And that way they profit from the lower classes and those with not as many resources as the elite and the rich. And at the same time they still offer those quality services. So it's kind of like selling something really cheap and bad with one hand and selling the best with the other. And it's just a way to make the Bauhaus image more splendorous. And something that Bauhaus wants you to have really clear is that they are not just nobles; they lead by example. The concept of noblesse oblige is quite important for the Bauhaus nobility. They will not ask their subjects to do something that they are not willing to do themselves. So they are also warriors. They are not just businessmen. They have that sense of chivalry, and in the best of cases at least. And because of that, they also have very strong ties to the brotherhood. So Bauhaus is always there ready to fight against the corruption and uphold different ideals. In fact, if someone insults the honor of a member of the Bauhaus Corporation, he may end up getting challenged to a duel following the tradition of code duelo, which is duel by swords or guns. And that's could be to the death or to first blood, but it's not unusual to see deadly duels. even though most will prefer for things to end up somewhat peacefully. And you get details on the different houses, such as House Romanov, House Richthausen, House Bernheim. And the different houses specialize in different things. Some are more militaristic, others specialize in administration, others in research and development, others in agriculture. So each house feels quite unique, and you have all the details of to belong, so that your character belongs to any of the different houses, and to build adventures around those houses. Now, when it comes to the process of character development, the process is quite simple, and it integrates seamlessly into the character generation process of the Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition core book. You basically get all the tools to build a very strong Bauhaus-centric background for your character. So, for example, you get a table to determine your social status. You can end up being a thrall, or maybe even a member of the noble electoral houses, which are the ruling houses of the Bauhaus. And you get different things depending on this. So, for example, a thrall who is always working and striving to get a better position in life gets a bonus to agility and strength. But if you belong to one of the noble houses, you will get different bonuses depending on that house, because some houses are more about physique and strength, but others are about agility and coordination, or awareness and intelligence, etc. And you also have choices and tables to flesh out your character. So, for example, with the place that your character comes from, the environment, maybe you come from Luna City, or maybe you come from a heritage foothold such as Mars, or maybe a heritage world such as Venus, which is the seat of power of Bauhaus. And you also have different events that shape the history of your character. So, for example, you have an adolescent event table. Maybe your character, there's something odd about your character, something that you can do, nothing much, just weird. What is it? Why are you afraid of showing people what you can do? And this gives you the character trait of mutant. And that's somewhat dangerous, because of the strong ties between the Brotherhood and Bauhaus. Bauhaus is always ready to hunt down those that are have fallen to corruption. They're always on guard against the dark symmetry, and if you are a mutant, you could end up being chased down by one of the more zealous members of Bauhaus. I think there are a couple of very shady aspects to Bauhaus. One is that a lot of the power players within Bauhaus not always uphold that standard of virtue and nobility. And the other negative thing about Bauhaus is the inbreeding. There is a lot of intermarriage. They do not marry outside of specific bloodlines. That results in different mutations. Maybe they have something that affects them mentally or physically, and that's quite dangerous, considering Bauhaus is always looking out for signs of corruption and mutation. And now, when it comes to other tables, you have tables related to your career, profession. For example, you have an unemployment table saying that maybe you are a student or maybe a pilgrim. There is a bit of a hint of a monastic flavor to Bauhaus as well, because of the ties with the Brotherhood. But maybe you could be a corporate worker of the military, or maybe you're a policeman, or maybe you're a reporter. So you get different choices, and all of these career choices further shape your character, both in rules and theme. And then you have my favorite part of even though you still have different career events that could be positive or negative. So, for example, you have this one that says, you were once accused of a serious crime. Fortunately for you, the magistrate involved in the subsequent investigation did not deem you worthy of conviction. However, it did throw your career into chaos. So in game effects, this results in that you are fired. You may spend a promotion to avoid this. But you could also get something quite positive. For example, you may get major career success. You have been incredibly successful in this career path. Increase your earnings rating, by 1 and gain 2 promotions. So that's quite nice. And this is my favorite part of the book, the iconic careers. Iconic careers in Mutant Chronicles are quite colorful. If everything else is kind of like the framework of your character, or the silhouette, so to speak. The iconic careers feel a lot like the color of your character. So for example, you could be a blitzer, an expert in demolitions and anti-armor techniques and procedures. And you could also be a companion of the Honorable Company of Scribes, which is basically a diplomat of extraordinary power and influence. You could be a companion of the Order of Wayfarers, which you're basically a guide for pilgrims. Or you could be a companion of the Venerable Order of Savants. You're a specialist in research and development and science. You could be an étoile montante, which is basically a female warrior that you're an expert at covert operations, sabotage, things like that. You could be a guardian of the Order of the Staff and Hand, and you are like a violent protector of pilgrims. You keep them safe from physical and moral harm. You could be a home builder, that is a jack of all trades and adventurer. You could be a juggernaut, a specialist in the use of powered armor. You could be a justicar of the Order of the Silver Skull, that is a member of the military arm, a very strong killer and protector if needed. You could be a commandant of the Order of Fear, a very cruel torturer and interrogator. You could be a mounted hussar, which is basically a mobile warrior, a scout. You could be a Templar, which is a protector and member of one of the different military orders of Bauhaus. Or you could be a Venusian Ranger, which is a very powerful, very lethal member of the Bauhaus military, the cream of the crop. Now, when it comes to Bauhaus Corporation, there are many different things that you can include in your campaign, because all the information here is quite specific and deep at the same time. It's quite surprising considering this document is just 132 pages. There's a lot of information here. So you have information of the Supreme Ministries, the High Command, the Fleet Ministry. You have information on the Ministry of Light. And then you have the system of orders, details on how to join an order, how to quit an order, and the advantages that you get for belonging to such an order. And all of the orders are quite different, and you could have an entire party of characters belonging to different orders, and as long as their objectives match and there isn't too much conflict, things are going to work out quite nice. Some other thing that I forgot to mention is that there are many stats for notable and non-player characters throughout the document. So you have orders such as the Orders Militant with the Knights of the Fiery Sword. You also have secret orders such as the Order of Secret Crusaders. And these are just a few of the orders. There are just a lot with their own requirements and advantages, career details and such. So there's a lot of material here. And you have a lot of information about the different domains of Bauhaus. You have information on Venus, which is the seat of power of Bauhaus, but there's also a very strong presence in Mars, in Luna and Mercury. And you even get a Venusian bestiary with all the fauna, the dangerous animals that you can find in Venus. Now, when it comes to the military, you have a lot of details concerning the army, the armory, new weapons, new armor, details on animal handling, and you have a lot of ground vehicles, aircraft. Everything is quite useful, and some of those are quite powerful in terms of everything that relates to battlefield situations. But you could also use them for other types of missions, for infiltration or just to move around. Now, near the end of the book, you have more details on law enforcement and external relations. When it comes to law enforcement, this is everything that you need to know to keep your character out of trouble within the Bauhaus Corporation. And external relations is how the Bauhaus gets along with the other corporations. In general, Bauhaus gets along really well, really, it's quite diplomatic with all the other corporations, but there are some rivalries and even some hostilities, but being quite noble and chivalrous, Bauhaus is kind of like the guy that will shoot you in the face while respecting you. So it's sort of like that. And then at the end of the document, you have a full adventure. And I think this adventure is excellent. I won't be, there will be no spoilers in this opinion, but it's basically an adventure that tests your combat abilities and your abilities of investigation and perception. That is, you approach this adventure by trying to kill everything in sight. That won't work out, it's going to be quite disastrous, but you will also have to develop and to work on your powers of perception and observation, and getting to the bottom of this investigation or mystery. Now, let me tell you what I think of the Bauhaus sourcebook. This is an excellent sourcebook. I'm quite impressed because the core book has a lot of information, just a lot. I couldn't imagine, I didn't imagine that they would expand on that information in such a way that they would build upon the history and all the background of Bauhaus. They really present you with a clear picture of what this corporation is all about. The feeling of the flavor of aristocracy and nobility is quite strong, colorful, and memorable. This is quite useful even if you want to build adventures or campaigns that have nothing to do with Bauhaus. If you want to create a Bauhaus character, this is perfect for that. And just bringing details into your campaign related to Bauhaus in general is going to make the entire Mutant Chronicles universe come alive with everything. And if you are planning to run a campaign centered on Bauhaus, well, this is a must-have. So this source book is highly recommended. It's something that builds upon the core book. As I was telling you, it doesn't feel like it completes it. It feels that they told you like, oh, you want more? Here, well, here it is, and they give you a bunch of stuff. And that's some of the things that I like a lot about the Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition, is that it's a really fun game, but at the same time, it also has a very strong storyteller game feel to it, with all these details and the social ladders, military situations, etc., etc. So I highly recommend that you get this Bauhaus source book, and check the link on the description below for more information. Now, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.